I was bored, so I decided to build Elsa's castle from Frozen in BLOXBURG because I have absolutely nothing better to do. If you're wondering why this whole video is voiceover, that is because I filmed for 3.5 hours and spoiler alert, I never plugged in my microphone. So yeah, this video is going to be voiceovered by yours truly with a sense of sarcasm, anger, and frustration. Okay, let's get started. So if you didn't know, this is what Elsa's castle looks like if you've never seen Frozen. I don't know much about Elsa, but all I know about her is that she is one dramatic queen, because why does she make her castle so complex to build, girl? Like, she's having twisty turns. Like, I know you didn't make that with your hands. So if you didn't know, I didn't post on YouTube for 4 days, which is a long time for me. I think the longest I've never posted on YouTube since starting my channel was 3 days, and I didn't post for 4.
Is she dead?
Anyway, the reason I didn't post for 4 days is because I was in the hospital with really bad stomach pain. Like, stomach pain to the point where I was on the floor crying. Anyway, long story short, I'm pretty sure someone either accidentally glutened my food, and because I don't have a gallbladder and my intestines are really thin, my whole body kind of went into shock. Like, I'm just picturing my stomach as a rebellious teenager. Like, anytime I eat something my body don't like, it's kind of like, I ain't gonna eat this, but what I am gonna do is put you in a lot of pain. I don't know what that was, I'm sorry. And the one thing that was playing in the hospital was Frozen for some reason. Like, Frozen was on repeat. When I tell you, I watched that movie like 3 times. Like, don't worry, I'm back home now, but sometimes I'll drift off to sleep and I'm just singing, let it go. Like, Elsa's haunting me, and so is her castle. So I feel like the only way to get rid of Elsa and her curse is by building her castle in BLOXBURG. And even though this took me so long, it's actually kind of fun because I don't usually have time to build a really detailed build anymore. Since doing YouTube full time, I'm usually on a really tight time schedule, so I can only build for like 2-3 hours a day max, because most of my days I'm usually editing or making other content for you guys. So with building Elsa's castle, I had a lot of extra time, especially because I couldn't do anything else. Trust me, I really wanted to film a video in the hospital for you guys, but the doctor would not allow me. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. What am I doing? I need to like voice over what I'm doing. Okay, I'm building a mountain. I'm not good at voiceovering. Okay, so the first thing I done was added a basement. Obviously, Elsa's castle has a massive stairway that leads to her castle, and there's only a 5-story limit on BLOXBURG, so I thought, okay, if I wanted to make this as tall as possible, I need to add a basement, and then that's where I can start the stairs that leads to the first floor of Elsa's castle. And then the second thing I'm gonna do is add a mountain surrounding her castle, so then this way I don't really have to focus on the back of her build, because one, the back of the build is not important. I hate them, they're ugly. Second of all, I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry, I tried. I forgot, I'm sorry.
A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thoughts.
Anyway, half of the time I was literally dawdling in this video. I don't even know what I was doing. Half of this was built in the hospital and half of this was built at home. So 1 minute I'm working on the mountains, the other minute I'm working on like a snowman. You'll see. Anyway, the mountains weren't really like... Why did I just burp like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo? I don't know if I'm scared or impressed, but I'm gonna keep that in. You know what my burp just sounded like? Anyway, the mountains weren't really giving, so I added fog machines and a lot of these little large boulders representing some snow, because one thing we ain't gonna play about is the mountains. Oh, someone's calling me. Ignore. Anyway, if you didn't know, this is what the mountain looked like from Elsa's castle. It kind of was like intertwined with the building, so that's why the mountain's kind of on a curved angle. Like, could she not have picked a flatter surface to decide to magically build her castle on? Because thanks a lot, Elsa. Now I have to build not only a fat mountain, but I also have to build your complex castle.
Thanks a lot, you idiot. Thanks a lot, Rachel. Thanks a lot.
You know why Elsa struggled to find a straight surface to build on? Because Elsa's not straight. Yeah, I said what I said. I can't even be mad at her. Honestly, I would run away too if my sister decided to marry a thumb-looking man. Also, what was I doing here? I was literally just doing nothing. Like, what? Anyway, the next thing I decided to do was the beautiful stairs that led up to Elsa's iconic castle. So to make this straight, I added some square beams, and then I made sure to measure this properly using transparent basic shape and kind of make it smaller as it progresses. So then it looks like the staircase is longer than it appears to be. Hashtag optical illusions. Hashtag, you know? Yeah, so I'm sitting in bed with my microphone and I low-key feel like a man with a podcast right now, and I'm kind of scared. This is my impression of a heterosexual man with a podcast, alright? Alright, listen, hear me out. No, listen, when a man cheats, it's a sign for the girlfriend to be better. Listen, no, mate, listen, shut up. You can't disagree with me, alright? And scene. Okay, why am I kind of good at that? Every time I hear a man with a podcast and they say stupid stuff like that, blocked, automatically blocked, leave me alone.
This
Anyway, for these stairs, I decided to use candles as the stair railing, mixed with some small square beams to kind of give the optical illusion of a snowflake kind of going up the staircase. Something that Elsa would have on her stairs. Also, I'm just gonna speed this up because it's literally me for like 5 minutes building little tiny snowflakes for my little tiny staircase. The stairs kind of all over the place. I mean, now that I think of it, I probably should have added a pillar underneath, but psh, YOLO. And I remember very vividly, Elsa's castle was so light. I don't know where this light came from because in the photos there was no light whatsoever, but her castle was glowing. So I decided to add some LED lights ascending from her staircase. I wasn't gonna add these originally, but I don't know, I thought they looked cool. I then realized I made the staircase way too high, so I added a little tiny flat roof underneath the staircase. And this was technically used as an extra mountain because as you can see in the photo, Elsa's castle is literally on top of a mountain. So it makes sense that I would add an extra one. In retrospect, it seems pretty cool, but in reality, this was so difficult trying to build the castle around this stupid mountain. Also, looking back, I could have technically painted the candles on the staircase and made those like a light blue or a baby purple, but I decided not to because I like to do things the difficult. Who's calling me, man? I kid you not, guys. I literally have like 2 real life friends. 2. No one calls me throughout the day. I'm literally lonely Luna. I'm the most introverted person ever, but suddenly when I'm filming a video or doing a voiceover, I am Kim Kardashian and everyone wants to call me. It's probably because they want to check in on me. Okay, now I feel bad. Okay, I'll answer the call. Okay, update. It was my doctor. They said I'm pregnant with 2 million children. Okay, but isn't that crazy that we've nearly got 2 million subscribers, guys? You guys are crazy. Like, what do you mean? To this day, I'm still convinced most of you are AI. There's no way 2 million people are subscribed to my channel. I find it so cute when I'm voiceovering my videos because when I first started YouTube, if you don't know, I started it because I was sick in the hospital, and if you go back to my early videos, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. All of them were voiceovered. I was too shy to film in front of people. Now I don't even care. But like, yeah, all of them are voiceovered. Anyway, back to this stupid castle. When I tell you I had no idea what I was doing, all I had was a picture and a vision. I literally had a picture of Elsa's castle in the left of my hand and my computer screen on the right. Other than that, I had no clue what to do. I was literally just building for the sake of building. I was like, okay, this cube will go here. I don't know. I was building some sort of tower of cubes. I don't even know what this is. Like, what am I? Building a Lego piece? I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Right, okay, I think I remember. I was trying to do the archway to the entry area. Because if you didn't know, Elsa's castle is like 3 stories tall. So this is going to be the entryway. So I wanted to make it look grand as possible. But if you look at Elsa's castle, like, what am I even meant to do here? Halfway through building this castle, I'm pretty sure I just threw my phone and prayed for the best. I just started building random blocks and I was like, you know what? Let's pray this is going to look good. I then thought, okay, what if I do a decal of an icicle? But then I had to Google how to spell icicle because I didn't know. I'm really exposing myself. What? No, Siri, stop. Oh my god, my Siri just started spelling icicle. I kid you not, man. He's always listening to me. He's such a weirdo. I'm literally gonna get a restraining order on my Siri. Like, it's not even funny. I'll be talking to my cats. I'll be like, Salem. And then Siri will be like, here is your grocery list. Like, what? At the front of Elsa's castle, I decided to build this cute little snowflake. I had to Google what a snowflake looked like, but I'm not including that in the video because I've already exposed myself enough in this video. Anyway, I then started working on the balcony of Elsa's castle before realizing I absolutely hate the shade of this castle. It is way too blue and I'm going for an icy white. So I decided to use the whitest blue possible, and this was the best decision ever because the castle looked so much better. As for the layout though, I had no idea what I was going to do for this layout, so I was postponing it as much as possible. I was procrastinating. I was doing everything possible I could do to this castle then to work on the layout. So I decided to add these random round rods to the balcony to kind of give it more structure. I wanted to make these look like icicles kind of holding up the balcony. I don't know how Elsa just clapped her hands and made this architectural masterpiece, but I'm out here struggling. I was channeling all of the pro builders in the BLOXBURG community. I was channeling their spirits and I was like, please, let my structural beams look good. And then they failed me because they looked mid. Anyway, I then moved on to the structurals of Elsa's second floor. The structurals of Elsa's second... Did that sentence even make sense? Probably not. Anyway, I saw this build hack ages ago where someone added a stack of plates, and if you put them all together, they make this really cool architectural statement piece, and I thought that would look really cool on top. So I added that to her castle with a rod in the shape of a diamond, and now looking back, that diamond is so wonky. I then decided to continue working on her balcony. I was gonna use an alternative to a fence, but I was like, girl, I cannot be bothered. So I literally just added a fence, put some square beams, and then turned those little square beams into icicles. I think it looks good. This is kind of where Elsa stands on her balcony. It's like, cold never bothered me anyway. And then she like dramatically slams the door. So I need a balcony that is as dramatic as that scene is. Not only dramatic, I need it dangerous, okay? Miss Elsa's a little bit of a psychopath. So what if we use plain high arches and make these piercing, sharp icicles that are dripping down from her balcony? Like any intruder that decides to go inside her castle may potentially be facing death if one of those icicles falls on top of their head.
Bother me anyway.
Also, as much as I love this castle, the walls just weren't cutting it for me. It was given basic, it was given boring, and two things Elsa is not is basic and boring. So I decided to use some transgender cubes and decided to add them all around the castle. And as in all around the castle, I mean literally at the front. You think I was gonna add those at the back? Yeah, no. Because they're transparent. Did I say transgender? I meant transparent. I don't know why I said transgender.
Hi.
I'm so stupid. Anyway, because they're transparent, you can still see behind them, which gives the castle a little bit more dimension. I was trying to play around with the shape, but once I started on the second floor, I then realized these little transparent cubes have to be way taller than I expected them to be. So whatever I'm adding now, yeah, double it and make it taller. Because babe, I did not make these tall at all. This is what happens when I wake up and I'm like, yeah, I want to build Elsa's castle with no plan. No plan in hand. Just a girl in a dream and her iPhone. And then I realized, great, I now have to do the other side of this castle. If only I could tell myself that my audio never even recorded. I'm pretty sure there was a scene in Frozen where Anna was like, why do you not talk to me? And Elsa was like, girl, shut! And then she like slammed her with her hands. And there was like a surrounding of ice spikes. This is where I'm getting the idea of covering the castle with these little ice spikes. Then I was like, what do I add next? And then if I zoomed into Miss Elsa's castle, she had the left and the right side of her castle, and they kind of went up and then shooted up into the air. I don't know how to explain it, but like, here's what I'm talking about. And now that I'm looking back, I could have used a triangular basic shape and made that, but I don't know why I made this so difficult for myself looking back. So I wanted it to go into a triangle shape and go all the way up. Why do I not add a staircase? No, too easy. I just decided to choose the most difficult option for me and decided to use basic square shapes and add a transgender ladder.
Why do I keep calling them transgender ladders?
They're not even transparent. What the hell am I talking about? I decided to add cubes in a ladder ascending into the air, when in reality I could have just used a triangular basic shape. I hate myself. Great, now my cat's meowing at my door like a psycho. Can a girl not get 1 ounce of peace in her room? And before y'all start commenting, oh my god, you hate your cats, first of all, I let them in my room. They want to go back out, and I repeat the process like 80 times. They annoy me. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but my cat Samira absolutely hates my mum's cat Rio, to the point where I had to take her to the vet because she was peeing everywhere and I had to put her on antidepressants. Also, I'm speeding up this stupid triangle process. This took me so long, it was not even needed. Honestly, just to put the cherry on top, I didn't even paint it the right color. I looked at it and I'm like, wait, it's not even the right color. So here I was, Bob Ross style, painting this whole thing again just to copy it on the other side. And this is where things start to become tricky because this stupid mountain was making it so difficult for my brain to comprehend where these basic shapes go. For someone that's been building in BLOXBURG for 3 years, you'd think I'd be good at it. Yeah, no. I finally got the hang of it after I realized it wasn't flipped around the right side, and then I felt like even more of a moron. I then decided to face my worst fear, which was the interior. The reason this is my worst fear is because the outside is so small and the inside of her castle looks humongous. But the good thing with Miss Elsa is that she's a minimalist. She only has 2 pieces of furniture, and those 2 pieces of furniture is a water fountain and a chandelier. My cat's now scratching at my door. I feel like the FBI is at my door right now. Anyway. FBI, open up! If you can zoom into Elsa's castle, she had these really beautiful pillars spiking from her castle from every angle. So I said to myself, how do I make these pillars look as beautiful as they do in Elsa's castle? So firstly, I decided to add some spikes to the side of her castle using some basic shapes. I don't know about you, but this was not given Disney. This was given villain. Like, this castle could have killed someone. And last time I checked, she did try killing someone. Y'all remember Frozen? Miss Elsa did not hesitate when that man broke into her castle. Like, she full slammed that chandelier on the man. So anyway, I wanted these spikes to be deadly. I also wanted them to glow in the night. So I decided to sneak a little candle in one of the pillars. That way at nighttime, the castle looks like it's authentically glowing. And this is a part where I realized those little ice spikes at the bottom were definitely not tall enough considering how large this castle is. So I decided to double them, make them a little bit larger, and kind of distribute the paint so it looks like fallen ice, if that makes sense. So once I finished up my little icy cubes, look how much better that looked from the front. Elsa can kill me with her chandelier any time of the day. As for the left and the right wing of her castle, I had no idea what to do with the roof because it was way too flat. And her castle is given boom, sham, la blam, shablam. Like, look at all my basic shapes. So I decided to add some little triangular roofs and kind of go with the flow. But that was not good enough for me. I needed more spikes. I needed more action. I needed more flair. So using my semi-transparent cubes, I went bananas and added as many spikes as I could before I was like, okay, enough's enough. I then got distracted and started building a literal snowman. Like, what was I doing? Some sort of side quest? This was meant to be Olaf. So I was originally going to build Olaf and Sven, but it completely backflopped because Olaf ended up way bigger than Sven. Like, I don't know if Sven was on Ozempic, but he was like minute. I then added the third and final floor of Elsa's castle before adding even more little spiky spikes. And so far her castle was looking good from the outside, except the top bit was just too flat for my liking. So I decided to use the same technique that I used for the first floor and add these cute little triangle basic shapes. Oh my god, I've literally been voiceovering this video for like 2 hours. I don't know why it's taking me so long, but it's 8 p.m. right now and I still need to edit this and go to sleep. Like, oh my god. Do you guys remember at the start of the video when I said ignore everything that I was saying and make these icicles much taller? Yes, this is what I mean. I'm making these icicles reach all the way to the 3rd floor. And originally they were only going to reach the 1st floor, which I'm so glad I made this change because it made the castle look that much more grand and elegant. Final thing I had to do to the castle is make it up to Elsa's standards, and I'm talking about the roof. Now, Miss Elsa doesn't have a flat roof. No ma'am, she has a pyramid roof reaching all the way to the clouds. Except I can't do that because BLOXBURG has a height limit, so I couldn't even add like a massive spike right at the front because it was too high for BLOXBURG, so I had to shorten it. How depressing, I know. Anyway, once I added the final spike to the front of the castle, it was officially done. Haha, just kidding, get pranked. I now have to do that whole process to the back of the building. I'm just kidding. I was going to, but then I looked at the back and I was like, no. So I thought, you know what, at the end of the video, I'm just gonna cover it with a mountain. Live, laugh, love, and ignore it and move on. Out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, nah, I ain't seen nothing. I ain't seen nothing.
I like to think the back of my builds are just like a balding man. Has a little bit of hair at the front, but no hair at the back. And then a final touch before I started working on the interior was I added fog machines around the entire castle. And of course, lighting. Again, I have no idea how Elsa's castle produces so much light considering it's literally made out of ice and nothing else. But for some reason, Elsa's castle shines brighter than my forehead. I decided to use these little medieval torches and add torches in the basement and in the interior where I will not be able to see. This way it produces light, but I've got no idea where it's coming from. And then finally, the exterior was finished, so I could finally start working on the interior. I was so happy, but I was also kind of depressed because Elsa's inside of her castle is so depressing. It's low-key giving insane asylum call. The only way I could make it less depressing is if I added lights inside the basement and added a purple and blue tinge. This girl has no kitchen, no toilet, no necessities to live. I'm convinced she is an AI bot. Like, where does she go to the toilet? Where does she release her bowels? Where does she eat? This girl has nothing around her but snow, and last time I checked, there is not much calories in snow. The only thing she had inside of her house was, again, a water fountain and a chandelier. So I started working on the interior using these as my inspiration photos, except I added my own little flair to things. I added pillars representing icicles, and I just wanted to add my own little touch as well as Elsa's, because no offense, Elsa babe, but the interior to your castle low-key flops. Like, you're telling me you have this power of creating things with ice. You couldn't even create yourself a couch? You couldn't create yourself a 50-inch ice TV? Like, all this power and for what? You can't even sit on the couch, girl. Ew! Anyway, the next thing I started working on was a snowflake on the ground. I tried using a decal, but I couldn't find anything big enough. I did, however, find these blue ice decals, and I thought they would make a cute detail to the wall, but when it came to the actual snowflake on the floor, firstly, I tried a small square beam, completely flopped, as you can see. Like, what the hell am I doing? Failing, that's what I'm doing. And then I came up with a genius idea. Why don't I place a basic shape down and build the snowflake off of that? Duh. Can we just talk about how beautiful that snowflake looks? I low-key felt like Elsa bringing this up and down, like, let it go. Anyway, once that was finally done, I placed the water fountain on top, and then it was time to start working on my grand staircase. So there's technically 2 layers of stairs. There's the grand staircase, and then it leads to the back of the stairs, which goes left and right. So I added a transparent cube at the back of the wall, kind of separating the 2 rooms, if that makes sense. I don't know why I struggled so much building a staircase. I don't know if I'm like dyslexic when it comes to stairs, but I could not figure this stupid staircase out for the life of me. I'm pretty sure I had to restart like 3 times. There was definitely a way for me to measure it correctly, but I was at the point of building where I literally just gave up any sort of logic. I kind of just placed a staircase and prayed for the best. And then once the right staircase was done, I worked on the left staircase. I wish I could say this was symmetrical, but that would be lying. I've seen complete strangers who look more identical than these stairs. Once I completed my quote-unquote staircase, I used the same technique that I used at the front of the build, which was these candles, and I painted a few of them blue just to give off that blue luminescence, as well as painting a few of them purple to give off that purple shimmer. And then I paired that with the small square beam, and that's pretty much what I done for the staircase. And I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of given royal high with this lighting, and I wanted the fountain to glow a little bit more, so I added an extra light in the basement, and then boom, look at her, she is glowing. Elsa could never. And that's pretty much all I done for the first floor. As for the second floor though, I was so confused where I was meant to put the stairs because I was low-key running out of room, so I had to tightly pack these transparent cubes into a staircase, and then I painted them a little darker blue because they weren't standing out as much as I'd like. And without further ado, I had the final floor to complete. This is where Elsa nearly killed a man. This is where she nearly smashed that chandelier on someone's head. So I needed to make this room as dramatic as her. See, I didn't want it to look exactly like Elsa's room because she had nothing in there except for walls. So I added a really cute custom-made transparent door in the shape of a snowflake. If you didn't know, I recently learned how to design snowflakes. Now I can't stop doing it. Clearly, I now understand why Elsa was so obsessed with her castle. I kind of would be too. You know, at the start of the video, I was an Elsa hater. Now I can't help but stan her. So I wanted the upstairs to look very similar to the downstairs area. So same pattern on the walls using the snowflake. I really love this snowflake pattern that I used on the floor, so I wanted to add that to the roof as well to kind of give it a mirrored effect. It was giving Picasso, it was giving Van Gogh. I tried to be a little quirky with the snowflake, but it ended up just flopping, so I was like, okay, fine, I won't push it. I'm just gonna do my standard snowflake, okay? And then, of course, last but not least, I added a chandelier to the roof. There, just in case we have any intruders break in, you know what I mean? I can smash them in the head with my chandelier. Then I added a fence so Elsa wouldn't like fall down and die. Ice is slippery when it gets wet, you know? I gotta make sure my girl is safe. And then I added these little tiny ice cube things. I don't even know what they are. I just call them icicles. They kind of just look like crystals now that I'm looking at it. But yeah, I don't know. I added those. And then I thought to myself, you know what I haven't added? A pillar. Look how cool this pillar is. Why have I not added it? So I added like 4. And then boom, it was done. And don't get me wrong, it looks cool during the day, but when I change the grass to snow and turn it to nighttime, it automatically looks 10 times cooler. Something about the glowing lights in the castle make it feel like it is straight out of Frozen. We just don't talk about the back of it, okay? Let's just all ignore that. Okay, I'm gonna finally shut up and look in the inside. I love the fact that I added a basement to this staircase. I think it makes it look so much more grand. The only thing that doesn't look grand is Olaf. Why is he so big and terrifying? I feel like he's looking directly into my soul, and don't even get me started on Sven. He looks like one of the dwarves from Snow White. Now, as for the inside, the one thing that I definitely got right was the lighting. I don't know what it was about this purple and blue lighting, but it was so prominent throughout the film that I just had to add it inside her castle, and I think it turned out so cute. One thing that I was kind of scared to test was these stairs. When I tell you my head barely fit through the roof. As for the second floor, it was just as cute as the first. My only question is, what the hell does Elsa do in her spare time? She's definitely a sociopath. Like, you're telling me she just sits in her ice castle with no furniture doing nothing? I don't think so. But yeah, that's my recreation of Elsa's castle in BLOXBURG. Am I mad that I filmed for 3 hours and I lost all the audio? Absolutely. But so I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!